Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm sitting here with the Almost as they get situated.
Hi, Corey.
Hi, how's it going?
Tell us about it, Corey.
Well, why don't we tell them about you? First off, thank you for coming and for sitting here and all. And would you please introduce yourselves?
My name is Aaron. Nice to meet you all.
I'm Dusty.
Hey, I'm Jay.
I'm Joe.
I'm John.
Well, the reason why we're here is because the Almost is releasing a new album on April 9th, and it is titled Fear Inside Our Bones. And yeah, the band's going to play in a little bit. They're going to play some of those songs and some songs from some of their previous records. But currently they're on tour. They're playing tonight. And I don't know, you guys played in New Jersey last night. How's the tour been going?
Really good, man. We actually played in we kind of did purposely like this small clubbed tour to kind of release some of these songs, and it's been cool getting to see everyone's faces instead of the normal tour vibe, just small rooms. We actually played at a Mexican restaurant last night, literally. There was this place called Mexicali Live, and it was a legit restaurant.
Wow.
So you've got 150 people eating dinner, and they sit there and eat dinner the entire time. Chips and salsa, chimichangas, quesadillas, and it's like this rock and roll show happening.
Yeah, we kind of thought everything was good, and then the sopapillas came out, and we were like, Mexican dessert got us.
Did you get anyone to drop the chimichanga?
You know, because of the sopapillas, we got screwed by the sopapillas. Thanks a lot.
How have the new songs been going over that you've been playing? Which are the new songs you've been playing live?
We just released a song a couple weeks ago. I think it's been a couple weeks now, called Ghost. We've been playing that song. A few other songs, the title track, the first single, which isn't out yet, but we've been playing that song. It's been going really good. I think, no one's came up to me afterwards and said, that stuff sucks. So I think so.
Yeah?
You guys can tell me today if it sucks or not.
Do people here know Ghost?
Yeah, they've heard Ghost.
You got the people singing the songs when you're singing along with you?
I have seen some mouths moving to Ghost, which is really cool. So, yeah, the kind of the purpose of the tour was to get out in smaller places and be able to kind of guinea pig ears with those songs, So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome. What are you most excited about this record coming out? I mean, what was maybe approached a couple things a little differently this time?
Oh, you mean besides my new haircut?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Someone else can answer the questions.
Yeah, I think the record is different for us. We're older. Some of us, not gonna mention any names, have gray hairs in his beard behind this microphone. And we recorded this record live, which is
We'll do it live.
Yeah, which is different, for us. Instead of sort of just writing as you go, we all kind of had to know what we were doing, kind of down to a science. And what live basically means is everybody sort of sitting in a room or standing in a room and nailing the song. And if everybody gets the song perfect, but I screwed up, which never happened ever, then we had to start over ostensibly. And really all we achieved with that is we got the record done quicker, and it captured a little bit more of what it means to be a musician in the Almost.
You told me last night that you did the whole record in 4 days.
Yeah, pretty much. We just got in there, and then we were like, next song. Oh, there aren't any more?
There's no margin of error then if you're getting it done that quickly.
It was quick. It flew by. And we didn't have all the time in the world either. We were, time is money, and we were on a schedule. But we were also happy in 4 days. If we weren't happy, we would have spent more time. But, we really just kind of blew through it and nailed it.
That's awesome. Other than time constraints and playing live, how else did you guys challenge yourselves when you were making this record? Either songwriting or recording?
I think it's just it's kind of a leap for us in terms of, I feel like I hate when you listen to a band's interview and like, these songs are just they're just more mature,
You're taking it to another level.
What does that even freaking mean?
It's like their songs have armpit hair now, or kind of a dirty mustache or something.
I thought you were going somewhere else. I was getting ready.
Pump the brakes, man. Pump the brakes.
But I think with these songs, I think it's just the most honest songs we've ever done. I've had this issue in my life where I always sit down to write songs. I'm like, what do people think about this? And I hate that about myself. I'm like, what do they think? What are they going to think if this is the chorus or if this is this or whatever? Like, will they like it? Like, will this make people sing along? Will this be enjoyable? And this time, just the kind of idea was I'm just going to get out what's inside. We're going to be honest and raw about it, kind of no matter what the ramifications are. You know what I mean? Yeah. So basically, it's all accordion and polka music, and this is it for us. This is our last show here at the Apple Store today.
No more airs. Well, we got the
I'm just kidding.
We got an accordion flown in here for you. So, well, I mean, just speaking about how you're a little bit more honest this time. One of the songs that I know you have coming out is called "I'm Down," and the lyric, the chorus to that song, is "I'm down, but I'm not out," and that seems like maybe that was a little bit more honest for you. And I'm just wondering what might have inspired that.
I was gonna make a joke about like how I took up boxing. No, we
don't joke about boxing.
No, we. I feel like in life, like in your relationships in particular, it's like kind of the panic. You hit the panic button in a relationship, and it's like, is this gonna come to an end, or am I gonna just get in and dig in? You know, whether that's a friendship, a romantic relationship, whatever. But there comes a place in a relationship where you're like, we either sever this tie, or we just fight for it. And that's kind of the idea behind that song, you know, like we're both beat up, we're both lost, we're both kind of alone in this situation, and it feels as if like this is it, but we're gonna fight for it. So it's kind of a one-sided thing, being like, you know, maybe I'm injured and maybe this is this way, but I'm gonna keep going.
Wow. Well, that is more honest, like you said.
It is. It's so honest.
And another song, I mean, I was also really enjoying Ghost because we've been talking about Ghost, but I was just wondering if you could kind of tell me what inspired that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to test everything, you know, and with yourself, like people are always like, I'm going to follow my gut, you know, and then you see them follow their gut and they end up like, you know, in a bad place or doing whatever. So the idea behind that song is kind of like test your gut. You know, you can't always trust the ghost inside the gut. You know, sometimes you gotta test that thing and weigh it out and see what's really there and what the truth is. You know, because sometimes the truth isn't the feeling. Sometimes truth feels wrong. Mm-hmm. In the rare occasion that it does, but it happens more often than you would think sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, going off of trusting your gut, and another lyric from one of the songs that you may or may not be playing today, Hands, you sing about, the first lyric I think it is you sing about how you're not afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah, I think that there's this thing that we do, especially as artists, where you're like, I got to make sure that I take the right steps in my career, and I got to make sure I do this and do that, and I got to make sure I do this in order to sell records or in order to get people to show up or whatever. But the idea is behind that whole thing is like, you have to be you, no matter where you are or what you do in life. You have to do you. You know, you have to do what is right for you, what is the plan for you. So,
I was wondering if there were any mistakes along the path since Monster that you might have learned from that contributed to the new album.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every day. You know, I mean, every day you do something that's boneheaded or dumb, and you're like, man, I wish I hadn't have done that, or I wish I hadn't have done this. But at the end, hindsight is always 20/20, and you realize that you go through things for a reason.
Cool. How do you think you guys grew together most as songwriters for this album coming out? You know, because like I said, like we were saying a little bit before, it does have a little bit more of a different sound, maybe a little bit.
It's a cohesive unit now. I really feel that way.
Yeah, that's cool. I was also just wondering what inspired the title "Fear Inside Our Bones."
John? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
John Thompson, everybody.
I think every person I had a baby this past. Well, my wife had a baby.
It did not come out of you. No.
I did not have a baby. That'd be what's that?
The album would be called something totally
you
different.
You helped.
Hey, isn't there an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he gets pregnant?
Junior.
Yeah, it's Junior.
How does he?
He's like, I had a baby.
How does he get it out?
I never saw it.
Yeah, I didn't make it to that part.
It was a C-section.
It was a he section.
It was a he section. Yeah, everybody. It was a he. Right. No, I feel like we had our son this past year, and he came out and they put him under the thing to clean him up, whatever, and he's under these lights, and I watched him take his first breath, and it was weird because it was like a foreign concept to him, you know, like, and you saw his eyes open real big, and he breathed in his oxygen, and it was a really cool experience, but he was in pain before that, you know, like it was really weird, like he was just like, and I had this idea that like every single person, whatever walk of life you're in, whatever you believe in, whatever you don't believe in, whatever your convictions are, everyone's born into pain. You're born into this place, this earth. It's full of pain. and it's full of heartache, and it's full of this, and it's full of that. And it's also full of the good stuff. But the idea behind the whole record is like there is a thing that connects us all, and that's our shortcomings, and that's our pain, and that's our fear. You know, we all have it. Whether it's all based around different circumstances and different opinions and different ideas, but we're all born with that. So the whole record is kind of that thing where, like, if we can move to be honest about those things, we can really connect with each other. You know, instead of like barking about each other about what we should and shouldn't do and what we should and shouldn't believe. And the whole idea is that we're all human and we're all connected and we all got issues. You know what I mean? Let's air out the laundry for once.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know one way that you guys kind of adapted that's maybe not quite as serious as kind of what you're describing, but I know that because of your wife having the baby, you rehearsed in Between the Buried and Me's studio in North Carolina.
We did.
And I was wondering if there were any funny stories about working with the death metal prog metal
I think
band.
that's just the funniest thing. The Almost inside having anything to do with that band. I just think it's so funny.
Well, I imagine you're all friends, but...
Yeah, no, totally. And they did us a solid, but I just think it's funny. I don't know if they think it's funny. They're probably ashamed. But
They're on tour at Dream Theater right now, just pissed.
Did you leave them any surprises for when they come back?
We left them a lot of cans of Pepsi, I think.
Yeah,
Lots of Pepsi.
we party pretty hard, I guess, in the metal.
yeah,
terms.
they didn't. I'll just out everybody. Didn't we write it or a song with no pants on?
We did take our pants off, and I think we wrote the self-titled
I swear
track.
to you, that's true. That's so
we did
true.
with this the title track we actually wrote in our underwear.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true.
How did that add to the acoustics of the song?
I feel like there was less drag. It was more streamlined
Yeah.
song.
We less constricted. We felt
I'm
free.
trying to be free.
Oh.
You know, the song's breezy. It sounds breezy.
The weird part is Joe doesn't wear underwear.
Oh.
Yeah,
That
that
had to have been
That's not true at all.
That had to have some explanation then.
Well, there's one really. Never mind.
This has taken a really weird turn, I think.
Can we go to the
Yeah.
next thing?
Absolutely. Well, speaking about gear and stuff like that, I think that some of these songs are acoustic premieres today. I was just wondering how that's...
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of songs that I've never even sang the whole way through acoustic, so we're going to find out what happens.
Yeah, when we heard we were doing this, we're like, oh man, there's no way we're going to be able to do Ghost, you know, but we think it sounds cool, so we'll see how it turns out, yeah.
Well, other than members not wearing underwear, I was wondering what maybe surprised you most about your bandmates. Like maybe if each of you, did you guys learn anything new about each other when you were making this album, or?
I don't think we don't keep a lot of secrets around here, man.
I kind of know, yeah.
We travel a lot too, so there's not a ton of secrets, you know. Well, there is one secret, but it's for
Don't
another
tell
time.
it. I'll say this too: is that we didn't think that we could do a live record. It's hard, you know. I mean, you have to. It's harder than you think. We thought that anyway, and then we found out it was really easy.
No, I
for
remember
us.
thinking the producer told us that he wanted to do it really quickly and live, and we were like, "Yeah, right." I mean, that was my first reaction. I physically said that to him on the phone. I was like, "Yeah, right." He goes, "No, I mean it." He goes, "I do all of my records this way," and a lot of the records you would know and be surprised that they were recorded live, but it was really weird because he was like, "We're going to do this," and I'm like, I remember calling my manager and being like, "We're not going to do this. It's not going to work. It's going to sound like crap." You know what I mean? And we ended up doing it, and I guess it sounds pretty cool. So
We spent more time rehearsing prior to recording. So I mean, it took 4 days to record, but it was weeks in the making.
Weeks?
Before
time went into it, but it wasn't
before
spent
we
in
hit
the studio.
record. It was we got our ducks in a row.
I was saying one thing that I think really impressed me was one morning we walked in the studio. Marshall, our producer, was sitting at the table, and he was like, "Listen to this song. What do you think about this song?" And I was like, "Oh, it sounds like the Golden Girls theme song." And it was a song called "Lonely Boy" by this guy Andrew Gold. It was like
Who wrote the Golden
he
Girls
wrote
theme
the
song?
Golden Girls theme song.
Look at that.
And he was like, "What do you guys think about covering it?" And I laughed and walked outside and laughed, and I came back in. I was finishing my laughing, and he was like, "No, I'm serious." And we were like, "Yeah, whatever." And this was kind of at the tail end of had like 2 days left, and so we got to the point where we were like, "Okay, at the end of the day, maybe we'll just try and kind of hammer out the arrangement of this, and we'll tackle it tomorrow." And the arranging turned into like, "Okay, well, we're learning these parts. turned into Marshall like wheeling this Wurlitzer piano like into the live room, and then we just like went through it like 3 times and recorded it. And the song's crazy, and it doesn't sound like anything we'd ever write. And I think it just really impressed me, like, with the guys. I mean, I know all these guys super well, but, like, as musicians, like, I felt like we kind of raised the bar for ourselves in doing that. So that impressed me a lot.
And it doesn't sound anything like "Thank you for being a friend."
Yeah.
No, but if you threw a party,
If you invited
Jokes.
everyone you knew.
I remember there was a roller coaster of like, oh, this would be awesome. Oh, we shouldn't do it. No, everybody would hate it. No, but we should. Blah. I don't know. Blah, blah. And so like 3 hours after Dusty was done laughing, through the roller coaster of doubts and then highs of we should do it, it was finished. It was like 3 hours later. We learned it and then tracked it and then hated it and liked it again. And then we'll release it for the world.
Are all of the songs that you recorded on the album, or did?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think there was a few that we
No, there are a few that did make it.
Yeah.
Yes.
we demoed a bunch. Typically, what it is we find like we have to write 12 songs to get one good song. So for every good song, there's like a few like stinkers just hanging out. So there's a bunch of songs that didn't even make it to the studio, and the ones that did get recorded, I think there are a few that didn't make it. I can't remember. We forgot about them.
Okay, cool. Well, at this time, I think I'd like to turn the questioning over to the audience, and there should be some Apple employees here that have microphones.
I play for the Gypsy King, and the gentleman, the singer.
Yeah.
One thing that I like about you, you are very comfortable with yourself when you go to rehearsal.
Oh, thanks.
If you keep that, you're going to last forever, and you're going places. And another thing, always remember, there is no band leader. You're all band leader. That's what keeps a band forever.
That's good. Thank you. I like that.
Wow, man,
Encouragement, not
respect.
just questions,
Respect.
but encouragement.
Yeah, that's like real
Anybody else got
advice.
anything good to say about me? Pass the microphone around.
Hi. I just want to say that I love how honest your music is. And sometimes when you feel like, oh, this is just a comment. When I feel like I'm the only one going through something, I hear your music and it's like, wow. Like, sometimes you think musicians don't go through things if they're up there and they have like fans and stuff. But it really helps me when I'm, when I want to sit down and write something, I think, oh, someone else has been through this too, I'm not alone. So people are not going to think I'm crazy when I write. So my question is, how do you get over writer's block? What do you do to get that flow going again?
Thank you for that, by the way. I remember growing up, I'm a bigger music fan than I am a musician, and I remember growing up and listening to records, and a song would come on, I would feel like it was for me, like he's going through the same thing, or she is in the same spot, and she knows me, and she wrote this for me. You know what I mean? I remember feeling that ownership, so that means the world to me that you feel that way. But as far as writer's block goes, I just give up for a while, always. I think it's really counterproductive to have writer's block or feel like you don't have anything new and to keep writing it, because typically, if you're writing something and you don't feel like writing, it's going to sound like you don't feel like writing. So typically I just give up and go do something else, which is typically eating some terrible food or something like that.
A good songwriting friend of mine told me that that is true, and you're not writing to keep those songs because they come out when you're in a bad spot. But what's worked for me on this person's advice was just to keep writing. Just write it, because I always find that, like I said, the good songs are back there, and you got to get them out. So there's just garbage in the way, and then eventually it comes out. That's how it works for me. I also find
Great
that
advice.
tunes exist in certain rooms. Like if you're in your living room, go in your bedroom, sometimes you find there's a song in there. So as dumb as that sounds. Or like a new piece of gear, if you play. Like guitars have riffs in them, or they don't. But I don't know. That's what I do.
I was going to say, not as Christian artists, but as artists who are Christian, how do you approach your songwriting? Because I feel like there's such a paradox in, I guess, our ideology, and such a tension, because we're just like everybody else. There's that rawness. We go through the harshness of life, yet we're called to bring joy. And just how do you approach the truth in your life and yet be real with people?
I think something that is really hard for me to wrap my brain around a lot of times is the fact that people who are believers in Christ and Christians put a hat on sometimes. Like, and we're all guilty of it. Like, well, I got to write music now, and I'm going to make a faith-based song, so I'm going to wear my Christian hat today. I think that's weird, man. Like, and that goes on a lot, especially in our country. Like, especially in the Christian faith. And I'm not just, I'm guilty too, but I think the way that you should live your life as a believer and a follower of Christ is a person who is always that way. You know, I don't like put on like my Warped Tour hat when I go on Warped Tour. Like, there's people here who have known me for years, and I've been the same guy for years. You know what I mean? You go through ups and downs, but like, you don't, when I sit down to write a song, I don't go, okay, this is going to be this way or that way. And sure, things have stronger meaning sometimes or whatever, but I think that if you're a painter, you're going to see everything through the lens of a painter. You're going to go into a building and go, oh, this is painted really well. I love it. The walls are really smooth. This guy did a great job, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you're a believer, you're going to see everything through that lens. And I think that's how you filter that, is you don't. You make it your reality, you know? Like, it must be who you are, and it must be everything that you are. And if it becomes anything else, then it just becomes a hat, and it's unattractive to everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Any more?
I was wondering over you guys' discography, what has influenced your art direction?
Parker's here. He can talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a problem with record art where I want to do everything super literal. So, like, Southern weather, I got my friend to take a picture of Southern weather.
Hey, he's right there.
He's behind you, actually. But he's back there. But monster, somebody make me some monsters. Take a picture of them.
There's
Put 'em on
more
the
than
front.
one monster there. Yeah.
Fear inside our bones. I call my sister-in-law. Can you draw me some bones? You know what I mean? But like,
Didn't Dusty? Didn't you draw the monster masks and then someone built them? Wasn't that the way that went down?
Yeah, something.
I was like,
that.
make me look cool. He didn't. He didn't make me look cool.
I'm trying to learn how to be not so literal, and these guys are really helping me with that. Like, I think literal art there's a time and a place for literal art. But I wish at times in the past I would have grabbed certain emotions or things out of the music and made that the art, as opposed to, like, you know, anybody got a monster mask? Can you draw me a monster? I want to put it on a CD cover and sell it.
First off, I want to say thank you for your music.
Thank you for listening.
It's done a lot for me. And another question, I have two questions. One question is, Aaron, for you, how did it feel transitioning from, like, being a drummer in a band to being a frontman? Like, what were your first couple of shows as the Almost like for you?
Funny.
They're funny for me too.
They're funny for these guys too. Now I think I've just become comfortable, like, in the last year, if that's believable, after that many years. You know, I sat back there for so long that, and even though I was singing and doing my thing, I felt uncomfortable for so long, and I've just gotten comfortable, like, probably in the last 12 months. I'm pretty comfortable now. But it was weird, man. It was an awkward thing.
Second question, what have the tour pranks been like? Have there been any pranks on tour?
This tour still, I feel like
I think I get pranked the most. I do not appreciate it.
Yeah. There's no really, like, inner band pranks yet. I feel like that's kind of like last day sort of thing. But, like, with us, Joe.
First of all, I'm a jumpy little guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's the caffeine. I don't know.
Yeah. Jay screams real high like a girl when he gets scared, and Joe is just really awesome at scaring him. It's like we'll be walking in a group and you'll turn around and Joe's not there anymore, and he's somehow like 100 feet in front of you, like hiding in a bush, and we'll walk by and, like, you'll see Joe out of your peripheral, and then we'll kind of wait for Jay to come by, and oh man, Jay's had to change his underwear like 3 times on this tour. So,
and I never learned.
I almost strangled the bellman at the hotel last night. They were showing me all these terrifying videos at like 2 a.m. We got back from this diner, and we walked in the cold, and we get back and we're all just, you know, shaky and cold or whatever. They showed me all these terrifying videos, and we're talking about all these stories about, like, this guy wrote a book on demon possession. I'm, like, just totally tweaked, right? We get back to the hotel, and I decide I'm going to go on the treadmill. And so I wear one headphone, have my iPad propped up on the treadmill, and I have one headphone in because I'm so scared that they're going to scare me, because I just know they're cooking up some evil plan.
We really did.
So I hear this movement in the hallway, and there's a mirror in front of the treadmill, so you can like see and I see the door crack open. I'm like, so I push stop on the treadmill, and if it was one of them, I was just gonna grab him by the neck and just let him know. And here comes the poor bellhop. He's like, "Oh, I was just checking. I'm sorry." Like he saw me like get down off the treadmill. I almost strangled that guy, man. You're lucky it wasn't you. Just 7-year-old
it's all in
pranks,
good fun.
just scaring each other like we're not 30
I
years
remember
old.
that anybody that used to have an iPhone like 3G used to have a case that you could take it out of the case and it looked like the phone was still in it. I would grab Alex's phone and throw it off a building, but it was only the case. And I would hide his phone, and we would like spill water on it. He quit the band because of that, I'm pretty sure.
I came in a dressing room 2 nights ago to find my new iPhone in an inch puddle of beer. That wasn't a prank.
Yeah,
my
but
phone was
tell
just
him
in
about the
beer.
endorsement. It's quite an endorsement. It still works.
It does work.
Hey,
sat in an inch
hats off,
puddle of
Apple.
beer, and I literally picked it up and sucked the beer out of all the holes. It was so nasty, I'm like spitting. And the next day, it still didn't work, so I just beat the end of it on the table at Cracker Barrel, and now it works. Thank you, Apple.
And Cracker
Thank you,
Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Well, it's not a question, but I want to say what's up, fellas. And
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
I just came up here to get my iPhone fixed.
Yeah.
They fix it?
Did they do you right?
Well, we in the process still. But, you know, I'm a Christian as well, you know. I believe in faith. And I've never heard of you guys before. I start my day every day with some good gospel
Well,
music.
thanks for stopping.
But now,
Bye.
you know, I'm blessed to be here, learn about the Almost. You guys seem pretty intriguing.
Thanks, buddy.
Download your albums, you know.
Cool, man.
Get new phones coming. It's going to be
There's
right
an
up
app
in
for
there.
that.
Absolutely. So I want to say I'm happy to be here and listening.
Cool, man.
Thanks for coming,
man.
dude. I appreciate it. It's cold outside. Thanks for hanging out.
Hi guys.
Hey there.
I have a question, 2 questions actually. What are your musical influences as a band together or individually? What are your like favorite bands that you guys grew up listening to, bands that influence your music? And did you ever get to meet any of your musical inspirations or your favorite artists?
I mean, I think probably across the board for all of us, we all come from like a fairly like heavy music background, like hardcore and metal. Like we've all kind of came up and like cut our teeth like on those bands, like breakdowns and heavy guitar riffs and stuff. But like, I mean, now I don't know if it's because I'm 30 or what, but like I listen to like George Jones and I don't know, Tanya Tucker or something. Like we all just listen to like totally different stuff, and I think that's kind of what I don't know. I don't know how that gets us to where we are, but I definitely think it works. You know, like I'll play Hank Williams, and then Jay will play Slayer, and we're both just stoked to listen to it.
Yeah, but they're about the same artist, you know, pretty much to
I
me.
think they did a split one
They're
time.
equally as angry, so.
Tanya and Slayer.
But I have Slayer Vans. I don't have Hank Williams Vans, and that's why Slayer is better, in my opinion.
One of my favorites is Dave Grohl, just Nirvana or even his punk band. What was his punk band called? Scream. So just the whole thing up. I love Dave Grohl, and I was actually on a plane with Dave Grohl last year. You asked me if you met anybody, and so it was a plane from New Zealand, right? So it's like a 15-hour ride, and he was up in the Rock and Roll Star thing, and I was sitting back on top of a chicken crate or something. But he's standing in the baggage claim at LAX, and my wife is like, "Go talk to him." And Spencer from Under Oath had just called me like 3 weeks before, was in LAX and had like sat down and had a beer with freaking Dave Grohl. Like said he was the coolest guy. Like I was like, I want to ask Dave Grohl if he'll sit down with me and have a beer. So Jamie's like, Spencer did it. You need to talk to him. So I see him, and then out from the bathroom comes John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. And I'm like, this just sucks. This whole situation just sucks. And then Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age, comes out, and they're all standing there together.
And then Jesus hovers out behind them.
And then somehow Martin Luther King. No, it was just ridiculous, right? Like, it was ridiculous. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh. Jamie's like, go talk to them. You better. That's literally Led Zeppelin and Nirvana. I was like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm just gonna get my bag and leave. Just went home with my tail between my legs. I was so bummed. So I was this close, so close. And I've always wanted to meet Dave Grohl, and I heard he's the coolest guy ever, and I just clammed up like a wussy. So
I'm quite sure they asked you before. How did you come up with the name and exactly what it means?
No, man, I wanted to name it something with the word almost in it. So I had all these ideas. I almost called the band Almost Aaron. I think my wife called me a loser.
No, you didn't. You didn't. That wasn't a real thing.
I
We've
was
never
actually
heard
sitting
that
here. I
before.
was here in New
Make-believe.
York. I was here in New York, doing demos for the first record, just alone. My wife, who's my actual girlfriend at the time, was like, "Hey, you should." I was like, "I want to call it something with the almost," and I almost called it Almost Aaron, or definitely. There was another one that was so bad. I'm trying to think. Definitely Almost Aaron. Would you play in that band?
That's
No,
terrible.
no.
Not a chance.
I would never play in a band. No.
Lame.
Like that. Absolutely
So
not.
lame. And my wife literally looked at me and she was like, "You suck at names." So I was like a 6-week period here in the city where I was trying to come up with a name. And one day my wife's like, "Why don't you just call it The Almost?" And I was like, "That's deep." Literally. So that's what we called it.
How has like you guys getting married and having families and stuff changed, I guess, the dynamic of the group, or even like the way you write your music, or like your tour life?
I think in every way. You know, now it's like, look at E-Bomb's world. And look at this picture of my kid's butt. You know what I mean? Like it's just a different dynamic. But in every way, you know, it makes you a different person. You're responsible for a human life, and that's a whole other thing. You know, it's a game changer, a life changer.
Great. Well, thank you for answering all of our questions.
Guys, keep it going. Give it up one more time for The Almost.